upgraded my internet, so hopefully mess up. And we are live. We did make it live. All right. I wanted to get out here. Wanted to bring on John Darr today because I felt that a lot of people really need to get introduced to John Darr because through on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and you sharing what they're doing, and just really being a positive force there. I want to bring you on and talk a little bit about how you've been with other businesses and bringing a positive message out, and kind of what, and then talk a little bit about everything that your company does for the community and how long you've been here, and just to bring you on and let you introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, I appreciate it very much. You're cutting in and out a little bit, so I'm catching most of what you're saying, but I appreciate just being on the show for sure. I've had a respect for what you're doing on TikTok and all of the different channels, and really enjoyed watching, getting an insight. And it's funny, as you become more active, as anyone would become more active on social media, you feel like you know them better, and you feel that closeness to them, even though you might not know them or ever met them in person. But that's one of the things that I really like about social media is you get that more personal feeling of, hey, I know a little bit about this person, and I feel comfortable, and I feel and maybe even trust them. And I've really enjoyed becoming more active on social media, and also watching some of the locals like yourself and Colin and a bunch of people that have become more and more active on social media, because it's just cool to kind of feel like you get to know them a little bit better. You there?
Looks like our internet just had I'm back. So it looks like we had a blip on the internet there for some reason. All right, there we go. We got a gig here too, so it should be working fine. So
nice. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, you do support, and Colin is one person I want to give a shout out to. Colin Austin has been such a positive influence into this community, and you support their podcast, and rightfully so, because of everything that he's done and how he's grown that into just a powerhouse. Is an amazing podcast. So if you're watching this and you've never seen the WHOA podcast with Colin Austin, you need to find it and watch it. Easy to find. You can find it right on Facebook and track it, and also hear it on all the podcast channels. It is amazing, and what those guys are doing over there and the positivity they're spreading is great. And what you show a big support for them, and that's a good thing. And just all the stuff doing with the social media, it's also shown that all you have to do is get your iPhone and just start making videos, and you don't have to get all this equipment and be out there and do all this stuff to kind of make it dynamite. I think people do social media that will, they buy into real. And so what you've been doing has been real. And I think that's why you're gaining such a good audience.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see back before COVID, when I would go around town, whether it be go to lunch or whatever, people would come up to me and say, hey, I saw your YouTube video, or I saw your post on Facebook, or I saw you on LinkedIn, or love your positive message today on LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. And it just blows my mind, the ability to reach. And, our business is so dependent upon small businesses, local businesses in town. I would love to tell you that I insure Walmart and Target and some of those, but they don't buy insurance from us. But, there's lots of small businesses that do buy insurance from us and do business locally. So, it just makes sense for me to do everything in our organization, to do everything that we can to support locally owned businesses, small businesses, whether it be, restaurants or gosh, and, hardware stores or doctor's offices or, any of that kind of stuff. It's important for us to try to support that.
Yeah, and you guys have been here for a long time, and that's the neat thing is you're local here. You're focused on the local businesses source. As a small business owner, knowing that I can call you and talk to you and be able to real answers and get understanding, because insurance is confusing to a lot of folks. You look at the policies, you don't know what the coverage really is. And cheapest premium and
Right.
I want as lowest premiums I can get, and then the most coverage, and you're able to decipher, hey, here's how you really need to hand it out, kind of like we do in a mortgage when people want this lowest bit. And so we try to explain it. So having an expert like you makes it much easier, and you're local and you're able to take options everything you do, because you guys have, you can really plan out a whole platform for someone, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because I think now more than ever, it's more important to work with an expert, whether it be insurance or lending. We're going to release a blog, an article on the blog that talks about why it's important to work with a mortgage lender that knows what they're doing. You gave me some really good feedback and some input on that. And, people think that it's convenient to go to the internet and type in a bunch of information and get a price, but there's so much more to getting you to the finish line or providing you a policy that makes sense that people don't realize all the time. I had an example of that yesterday. I had a client, a prospect. It's actually a client that's buying a new house, and they were wanting to get a quote for their new home insurance. And they called a couple other folks and got a rate from a couple, I guess one of these online places or whatever. And turns out that, when we provide a quote for people, we do it a little bit differently in that we actually try to give people quotes that they'd be eligible for, not just the lowest, bait and switch type. Here's a quote that doesn't take into account that, maybe the roof is older than 15 years old or, whatever. So just yesterday, the client says, well, why are they giving me quotes that, are less expensive or cheaper? And I said, well, actually the quote that they gave you, you're not even eligible for it. You couldn't buy if you wanted to. So, that's the thing that people go, oh, well, I didn't know that, or I didn't realize that. That's, I guess it would be like somebody going to apply for a loan that, thinks that maybe they think they're eligible for a VA loan. And, if they don't qualify for the loan, it doesn't necessarily matter what the rate is. So little things like that, that we try to give people a more personable experience than just going online and typing in a bunch of information and then, running into a problem later on and not being eligible. So.
Yeah. And that's where the local expert, and now in today's world, we can do everything digitally, and everybody's wanting to do digitally, and you can still communicate this way, have the face-to-face and be able to share screens and show them, hey, here's your real options, which is the beauty of your local business. In the other part of a local reputation, local stake. So, the online company that's in New York could care less if they give you a bad experience here.
Exactly.
You do.
Yeah.
And so I'm
going to be in the grocery store and I'm going to be at the gas station. Yeah, exactly. We're going to be out and about, and it's important to us that we treat people the way that we would want to be treated. And, we don't win every time, but it's definitely, the way we do business for sure.
Yeah. And that's the thing that as us as local businesses here, we're both in that can be commoditized to where everyone's looking for the lowest of the low. We have to stay above with service and price. So we got to have and it's key for all of us to deliver on that. And so you've been, and with the length of time, there you go. With the length of time, she's ready. She
wanted to be. I told her she would get to be in the podcast, so she's like,
"Oh yeah."
She's pawing me in the leg. I'm like, "What are you doing down there?"
She's like, "She's right in." He's back there playing with Legos and doing a battle.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of working at home. I love working at home. I have a nice little office upstairs in the loft, and they come in all the time.
Yeah.
I tell all clients that, you're going to hear kids in the back. What's going to happen? But
right.
But that's the reality of it too. That we're local. We're right here. You can find us. And, the length of time you've been here as a business and still in business says something. It says doing something right, because a lot of businesses don't make it very long, and because it's tough. And then for you to come in and be here as long as you have and delivering the service and built the clientele and the base that you have and the reputation. You've got a great reputation. I know that. I hear that all the time. So, that's a big positive. And the giving back just shows more character and stuff. And that's why I wore the Optimist Club shirt today, to show more optimism, because that's what we started up here. So, but yeah, it's been neat to watch your growth on social media and how you've gone, because I've seen folks that are our age that say, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't get into that." And when I got on TikTok, people were like, so, but it works and people like it, and so it's silly, but it works.
It definitely works. Yes. I'm proud of you. I'm older than you, so I'm definitely it's important to put yourself out there and try to allow people in. One of the hardest things, and I think you'll agree, is you're sort of allowing people in, and you're allowing people to see who you really are. And if that core person is not a good person, it will show up on social media. Yeah. I think that's an important part of, if you're going to be active on social media and put out there, hey, this is who I am, like me or not. I think it's important that you understand that going into it. And it's not going to be perfect, and there's not going to be, a perfect video or a clip or whatever, but it's important to put it out there if you're willing to do it. And it's not easy.
You don't have to. It's not easy. It's not easy. And coming up, like we were talking about, sometimes you get brain dead on what you want to come up with. It takes time, but you just be consistent and try to come up sometimes, and don't be focused on how many views you get, because that will drive you nuts. I always tell people that all. And Brad Gamble, we got a big comment here, giving you a big.
That's all right, John. Nobody takes a business card.
And there you go. There's a big shout out right there. And Brad's a great guy. He's got a great business going.
Yep. He is. He's a good guy. His golf game is not where it needs to be, but he'll probably be the first one to admit that. But he is a great person for sure. And I've enjoyed get to know him in the last few, for sure.
Yeah, you're kind of legendary on the golf side. As I was in day, kind of retired from that because I'm not real good. So, and a lot of people, John Darr is out here, he's gonna knock it. And I think I remember I was on in one tournament where they had you at a hole and you would do the drive for people, so they could get down there. So it's you got a heck of a golf game. from,
Yeah.
I mean, you're known in the area.
Yeah, my father was a great player, and I played in college, and I enjoy playing. I don't play as much as I used to, but I definitely enjoy playing. But I've hit a lot of golf balls, and I've practiced a lot. So it's just like, I guess it's just like social media. You know, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more consistent you will be. Golf is the same way. The more you practice and the more you go play, and you typically will improve and get better as you do anything. So it's a great lesson.
Just like with everything, repetition and practice. I remember the first time I got in front of a camera, I was and straight. My eyebrows didn't move. Yeah. I was just totally frozen. And now I feel very comfortable in front of it, and especially with the TikTok thing, you kind of have to act a little bit.
Right.
So I feel comfortable with it, but that's come just by doing it consistently over time. And I've seen other folks that start that role, and to see them a year later, how much different they are, just naturally, just happens.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. That part is amazing. I still, to this day, I do things that I try to record, and I'm like, delete. That's terrible. I don't like it for whatever reason. So, it's still, there are days that it's harder than others, but you just try to have fun with it. I mean, that's the key, and you do a great job of that. My gosh, some of the stuff that you do is. You need to hold a class or something, because I have no idea how to do some of those TikToks you put together are quite impressive from it's almost like a video production. It's not, it's pretty entertaining.
And I appreciate that. It's all done within the TikTok app. I used to make videos with everything and do all the stuff. And when I found TikTok, it was just easy to create a video right on my phone. The hardest part was just with the idea. Whenever I hear a sound, and then I think of that sound, and I go, "Ooh, I can relate that and use that to put a message out."
Yeah.
And that way I can, and then I guess the hardest part's acting it out, really, because you kind of have to mouth a lot of things and put facial expressions for whatever you're trying to do. And so my whole goal.
Training? Have you ever had any training like that, or
no? I told my wife the other day, I said, I want to do some acting at the Hippodrome as like a character actor. I want to be a main actor. And I can't remember lines. I can't do that. Just small little part of my thing, and I go.
Right.
I can do that. If I'm a lead actor, it's going to be terrible, because I can't remember lines. I would just be totally lost out there. The way those people can do that is amazing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't mind being center stage, but just because you're center stage doesn't make you a good actor, for sure.
Yeah, scripting is tough. I'm kind of an off the cuff, wing it, and when I was chamber president in Alachua, learning to speak in front of people, that was a thing for me, just to keep speeches and talking in front of people and just doing presentations. And that's what I do, doing presentations for large groups. And now I've done presentations for groups as large as 1,000 people. And that doesn't even bother me anymore. Where used to, I was very introverted and didn't want to do that stuff. I didn't want to be in front of people.
Sure.
But now I like it. It's fun, but it's just more doing it the same thing. Exactly. The whole message here, basically, just do it. If you want to, just got to make that step and go for it. And a new way of marketing in our world is very digital nowadays. And so digital, but still personal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key, because then people are starting to get to know you on their computer, and then they feel like they know you once they meet you and get business going with you. Brad just such a
is really important. To combine the two, I think is important, and it's a skill, because you can be. I know a lot of really personable people that have no technology skills, and they struggle with that part of it. And then I know we all know people that are great at technology, but have no personal skills. You got to blend the two in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's important, to be successful. And both can be learned. I mean,
you do.
It's not both be a learned skill. It's not something that some people are born with more, personal skills that, yes, they've enhanced those skills because they're extroverts or whatever, but you can learn both of those things for sure.
Yeah, you can learn, and just learning and doing well. And again, as people get to know you, like I was going to say is, Brad basically gave you a huge testimony right there. It almost took up our whole screen as a comment. That's our largest comment we've ever had. And so, but that says a lot, someone just rattles it in there, so yeah, it's just getting out there, exposing yourself, and then again, doing a genuine message. And I think that's one thing I want to highlight is your genuine message of a positive message for folks. And in today's world, like I had a young lady Emily on yesterday. She's another one, very positive and very, everyone likes the positive. We see so much negative. I mean, if you go on game out of mouth, I mean, the negatives up on there, the negative comments is insane. I'm afraid to ask for a recommendation on there because they might just be just negative.
Right.
If I do something or whatever, God forbid, you're gonna get berated.
I think it's so important. Your mindset of being positive is so important. And I wasn't born with that. Back when I was younger, I was competing in, whether it was golf or I played baseball. I actually went to Florida to try to play baseball. And, let's face it, when you're a baseball player, you only get a hit 2 out of 10 times if you're decent, and 3 out of 10 times if you're like world class. So 7 or 8 out of 10 times you fail. And when I came out of college and started in the business world, it was really difficult to deal with that because, let's face it, we're all going to fail most of the time at whatever it is we do, whether it's, I don't know what our closing ratio is, but I bet it's, 30-40% of the prospects that we try to quote or try to write. We only write a small percentage of them probably. But the point is you can focus on the positives or you can focus on the negatives. And Howard Freeman's a guy that's been in town forever and runs Stop Children's Cancer. And he had an effect on me at a young age. I was probably in my mid-20s. And for whatever reason, his message got through to me and said, John, understand that you have to focus on the positive in every situation, no matter what situation it is. If you go through and work on an account and you do everything right and you get to and turns out you don't get the account for whatever reason, understand, think of what good happened in that. Did you learn something? Would you have done something differently? What positive came of that situation? And it really wasn't until I was older I trained myself to think that way all the time in all parts of my life. Every part of my life is, hey, what is a positive, what can I learn from it? What can I, and for whatever the situation is. And I think that there's so many people out there that focus on the negative, and it's such a bad habit. It's such a bad a disease that, we all have those people out there that you seem to get around and you're like, oh my God, the only thing they're going to talk about is something negative. And they don't necessarily even know they're doing it. They don't even, they don't have a clue that they come across as this negative, glass half empty person all the time in their life. And when I really changed that mindset was when business started taking off. My life is, I mean, I lead a wonderful life. I have amazing friends. I have an amazing organization with some wonderful people. And I think it goes back to in my mid to late 20s, I made a concerted effort to change the way I think about every situation. And I owe a lot to Howard Freeman for that, because for whatever reason, he convinced me to think like that. And, as an athlete, like I said, you lose a lot as an athlete, and it's hard to deal with. And if you can change your mindset like that, you'll be amazed at how your daily life will change, and you really won't even understand why. Good things will seem to happen to you if you just change your mindset. And
it's true. I mean, that's 100% true, because it's easy to be negative because your brain, as a defense mechanism, instinctually looks for the negative to protect yourself. So it's easy to be negative. Mm-hmm. You actually have to train yourself to be positive and look for that. And if you do those things and you make a habit of it, and it will build a habit over time that you'll start to think that way and go that way, you'll overcome that negative easiness, because, it's a laziness and that we don't realize we have. And like you said, they don't even understand that they're doing that. And I think we all catch ourselves eventually doing it again, but then you catch yourself, you retrain yourself to be positive, and you do that. And before you know it, you're right, it makes changes in your life like you wouldn't see, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, completely. So we're coming up on the 30-minute mark. I like to try to keep them around 30 minutes so I don't use up too much of your time. But I do appreciate you coming on and just sharing a little bit of insight on your positive inspiration that you're doing, and kind of saying where it came from, which is interesting. Howard Freeman, this legendary name in this area, and so it's just been interesting to hear your side of it, and then also to let people know what you do, and if they don't already know, most people should know. And then seeing like Brad just throwing out there the big gigantic testimonial, and that's just a testament to the quality of your company and what you guys have done there. And but I appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to close us out with?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I enjoy watching you and all the things that you're doing. So keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing what the future brings with your TikTok channel and YouTube and all the things that you're doing. So keep up the good work, and we look forward to it for sure.
Well, we between the two of us, if we can keep some positivity out there on the internet, then we're doing something right. So exactly. That's a good thing. Well, if you need insurance, call John, because they will take care of you. They will not just sell you; they will take care of you. So give them a call. And but I appreciate you coming on, and just hang tight for a second. I'll hit the end, and we can chat for a second. We'll still be up. And
sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.